Keep in mind, the day that Joe Biden left for France, the Wall Street Journal, very prominent newspaper here in the United States, ran a front page story about what happens behind closed doors with Joe Biden. And it was a scathing attack on his capacity, on his ability to essentially do the job. And the Democrats came out absolutely howling about it and trotted out all sorts of comments from other world leaders saying how capable that Joe Biden was. It sort of provide a balance to this Wall Street Journal accusation. And then you see what you saw today at Normandy, which was stunning, on the stage with Macron, and clearly just not in the right mind to be president of the United States. So it's going to be a bigger issue as we move to the debates. Keep in mind, we're less than a month away now from the first debate. And I fully expect Joe Biden to be capable that evening because there's ways to manage his capacity on short terms. There's drugs you can use, et cetera. Maybe we'll talk about that before we get to the debate. But all eyes of the world, not just of the U.S., will be on Joe Biden, not only just at the debate here at the end of this month, but from now until the next election, because the man is clearly slipping.
And Mick Mulvaney doubled down, saying Joe Biden has always had a reputation for being famously stupid, but his abilities have dramatically declined as he has aged.
Well, Mick, I mean, you've been chief of staff to Donald Trump. You know what it's like inside a White House. You know how a president will be, in public versus in private. But where is this great, with it, hyper-competent, doing quadratic equations in his head, Joe Biden, that they say, behind closed doors, he's sharp as a tack? Why don't we see this out on screen?
Yeah, because that Joe Biden never existed. Look, he's not always been, 120 years old. He has been younger and been more capable, there's no question, but no one ever accused Joe Biden of doing quadratic equations. I mean, no one, he was able to find the door by himself to get out of a room. At this point, we're not really sure that's by himself. But no, Joe Biden, I think another senator years ago described him as one of the most famously stupid members of the Senate. And I think that was another Democrat who said that. So no, listen, you don't have to be a genius to be the president of the United States. There's no question about that, but you have to be there. You have to be on the job. You have to be competent to do it. And I think the things like what we saw today on the stage at Normandy are going to continue to raise the questions as to whether or not Joe Biden can do the job. Look, this is how it boils down, and this is how I explain it to people in this country. See if this resonates.
The president also raised some eyebrows at the recent Juneteenth celebration at the White House, seemingly unable to move whilst people danced around him.
One more time, come on. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you.
Also at Juneteenth, Joe Biden looked dazed and confused, sipping on an unknown liquid.
'Cause my heart is that you call me. Say about me, baby.
And his speech for the event wasn't much better, with Joe Biden stumbling his way through yet another word salad.
She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured.
Sky News All-Star Rita Panahi revealed a scathing expose on Joe Biden by the Wall Street Journal, which spoke to several people close to the president, all of them providing worrying insights into his mental decline.
Now let's talk about the US, and the Wall Street Journal is perhaps stating the obvious here in a feature piece called Behind Closed Doors, Biden Shows Signs of Slipping. In a well-researched piece, the Wall Street Journal interviewed 45 insiders close to the president, both Republicans and Democrats, who said when President Biden met with congressional leaders in the West Wing in January to negotiate a Ukraine funding deal, he read from notes to make obvious points, paused for extended periods, and sometimes closed his eyes for so long that some in the room wondered whether he had tuned out. And I wonder what, fallen asleep. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy told the Wall Street Journal, "I used to meet with him when he was vice president. I'd go to his house. He's not the same person. He would ramble. He always had cards. He couldn't negotiate another way. He was going back to all the old stuff that had been done for a long time. And he was shocked when I'd say, 'No, Mr. President, we talked about that meetings ago. We are done with that.'" Kosha, I don't think anyone is too shocked by this other than rusted on Democrats. His decline is obvious. It's not just behind closed doors. I could play clips nightly on this program, and the change in him, even from 4 years ago, is dramatic.
Sky News All-Star Sophie Ellsworth says allowing Joe Biden to continue with his duties despite clear signs of deterioration is elder abuse.
Shock horror, Sophie. The Wall Street Journal, they've spent a year on this story apparently, asking various Democrats and Republicans what it's like to go into a meeting with Joe Biden. And what did they find? Oh, he might have dementia. Who would have thought?
Well, he has, got quite a few issues, Steve, when he's definitely in front of the public. He stumbles over his words. He gets facts and figures wrong. He
falls upstairs.
He even calls his own children the wrong names.
We shouldn't laugh. I mean, it's sad.
I think it is a problem, Steve.
Democrats need to front up and say, look, this bloke can't do it.
Steve, sometimes it feels like this is a case of elder abuse. I mean, sometimes
Good way to put it.
It is looking at Joe Biden going, I just don't think this is okay that he's up there. He doesn't seem to know what he's saying.
And all of this talk of Joe Biden's struggles have many counting down the days until he is replaced, says the Daily Telegraph columnist Tim Blair.
A fascinating report here that I want to go to is in the Wall Street Journal, and it's quoting insiders being worried about President Joe Biden's capabilities behind closed doors. It says when President Biden met with congressional leaders in the West Wing in January to negotiate Ukraine funding deals, he spoke so softly at times that some participants struggled to hear him. According to 5 people who were familiar with the meeting, they paused for extended periods, and sometimes he closed his eyes for so long that some in the room wonder whether he'd tuned out. I think they're probably racing over to check for a pulse.